if you do a bad deed as well, that's only going to count for one bad deed. But if you think about doing a bad deed and you decide not to do it and your intentions were to do it, but then you decide against it, that counts towards a good deed. And I think that's very like subhanallah, and knowing that Allah is specifically saying that, okay, as soon as you start this task or as soon as you do this one thing, I'm going to allow for mercy to be in this. I'm going to place my mercy upon this and upon you.
Allahumma inni a'udhu bijalali wajhika al-kareem.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, peace be upon you. Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the 99+1 series. As you saw from the intro, today we're going to be talking about Ar-Rahman, Ar-Raheem, and Al-Malik. So Ar-Rahman is the most merciful, the entirely merciful, and Ar-Raheem is the bestower of mercy. What is mercy and what do we typically think about when we hear the term? And that was my first question, because when we hear these words, I feel like sometimes they're flung around and we can forget the meaning. According to Google, mercy is basically compassion or forgiveness shown towards someone who you could punish or harm. So in our day-to-day lives, it is very common that we feel like we are constantly giving and bestowing mercy onto others and we may not be getting the same in return. It can be difficult to keep pushing onward and have the motivation to continue to be merciful towards others when you feel like you're constantly not getting it back. And I know for a lot of people it can be extremely difficult, especially when we're victims of abuse or just harm and bullying, all these other things, and we're being constantly told to have mercy and show mercy. According to Hadith, Abdullah and Ibn Umar, I love English, okay. According to a hadith, Abdullah ibn Umar said, the Prophet Muhammad stated that those who are merciful will be shown mercy by the most merciful, Allah. Be merciful to those on earth, and the one in the heavens will have mercy upon you. So Ar-Rahman and Ar-Raheem both refer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, but Ar-Rahman refers to the vastness of Allah's mercy. Allah's mercy encompasses all things and is so great. And then also Ar-Raheem refers to Allah's bestowing of mercy. And I think it's really important to emphasize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not only takes the time to say that He is the most merciful and how great His mercy is and how vast it is, but also to say He is the bestower of mercy. So not only is He merciful, but He wants to voluntarily give us His mercy. He wants to showcase His mercy to us, and He wants to bestow it upon us. And I think that is a great reminder, especially when sometimes we cannot have mercy upon ourselves and we can be very harsh on ourselves and think that once we make a mistake, that's it and we have no place of return. But that's simply not the case. And I think that whenever we feel discouraged, we should take note of the fact that He deliberately and consistently makes us mention that He's the most merciful and that He wants to bestow His mercy upon us. And the simple fact that every single day we are told that before anything that we do, we're supposed to say Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Raheem. And that is saying in the name of Allah, the most beneficent / the most merciful and the bestower of mercy. And I was like, wow, like I think because we're so used to saying it and we become so accustomed to just like subconsciously doing these things in our everyday routines, we can forget the meaning of these things. So not only are we calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but in every single act that we do and every single thing that we set our intention toward, doing it with a pure intention is the most important thing. And knowing that Allah is specifically saying that, okay, as soon as you start this task or as soon as you do this one thing, I'm going to allow for mercy to be in this. I'm going to place my mercy upon this and upon you, and I'm going to bestow my mercy upon you. So should we do anything and it doesn't end in the way we'd like, we can still have faith and trust that mercy is still in that. And I think that is such like a beautiful thing to remember. So it's basically just a reminder to ourselves that in every single thing that we do, there is mercy and there is blessings that we can find from it. If we make this sincere intention, inshallah, and say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It also is very important to remember that for every single action that we take with a pure and sincere intention, Allah rewards our good deeds from anywhere from 10 to 700 times. And I think that that's very subhanallah, like it's such a beautiful thing to hear that Ar-Rahman is doing that and Ar-Raheem is bestowing that upon us, because not only is it saying if you take the active effort to do a good deed and you're able to complete this good deed, I'm going to reward you, but it's going to be multiplied. And it's also extremely beautiful that Ar-Rahman is saying if you do a bad deed as well, that's only going to count for one bad deed. But if you think about doing a bad deed and you decide not to do it and your intentions were to do it, but then you decide against it, that counts towards a good deed. And I think that's very like subhanallah, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ar-Rahim. He's bestowing mercy upon us in the decision for us to not do something against his will. And I think that is such an important thing to remember, especially when we're trying to break our bad habits, and it can be extremely difficult to do so, especially when we're so used to doing things. And it can be any range of things, from simple things like cursing or smoking, drinking, like zina and haram intercourse and all these other things. When we think about doing those things and we decide against it and decide not to do it, especially during this time of Ramadan where we are trying to break these bad habits, remember that Allah is rewarding you for having the willpower and the strength to go against whatever you had wanted to do in the first place, and that you deciding to do a good deed in place of that is worth numerous deeds, inshallah. And that perfectly ties into the next name of Al-Malik. Al-Malik is, the literal meaning is the king, the ruler over all dominion. So he's literally the one that decides and reigns over everything in his kingdom, from it being this dunya and everything else that we can't even fathom or imagine. And I think that is such an important thing to remember, especially when it comes to people who have that, and I'm sure we've all encountered those people who have that God complex, holier than thou attitude, and they just go about their lives thinking that they deserve everything simply because they have power and status. And that is obviously not the case. And Al-Malik highlights that by saying he is the one that rules over all things. He is the one that controls and has given those people that power that they have. In the Quran, in Surah 3 and Ayat 26, it states, to say, O Allah, owner of severity, you give severity to whom you will, and you take severity from who you will. You honor whom you will, and you humble who you will. In your hand is all good. Indeed, you're over all things competent. And I think that's a very amazing reminder, because Allah is the one that gives us even our power, or to think that we have power over certain things and instances, whether it be that we're running organizations or households, we have that certain level of power over other individuals, whether it be older sisters or older siblings, or having a certain level of knowledge. I think that sometimes we also have to look at ourselves. So yes, it can be in extreme cases of people who are abusers and rulers. We have to remember that even in our day-to-day lives, Allah gives us a certain level of power. And even from posting on social media and having a following or having people that you can influence, that is a certain level of power. So I think it's very important for us to be mindful, and also to realize that Allah is giving us this power. So when we plan for things also, and we have a certain expectation for how things should go, and then they don't go the way we had wanted them to go, we have to remember that it's not in our control. Yes, we can take certain actions and inshallah make sincere intentions, but the outcomes are never in our control. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that wills for certain things to happen. And I think that is extremely important to remember, especially when we don't get what we want, because then in some cases we can be like, why didn't I get that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Allah's out to get me. And we have to remember, Malik is not out to get us. He is the ruler, he is the supreme, and he reigns over all things, and he is all knowing. Unlike unjust kings and rulers, he knows the situations, and he is perfect in his rules and reign, and he knows everyone's situations. So while we may think that some things may be unfair, they always work out in the end of the day, and we always find something better, alhamdulillah. And as long as we keep trying, we will find something that is what's best for us. So it may be that we like a thing that is bad for us. I know many people have heard that sometimes we want things that are not beneficial to us. So whenever we don't get what we want, we have to remember, like, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala willed for me to not get what I had wanted or intended for myself, and Al-Malik wills for that, because he is the king and he's all knowing and he has extreme power over all things. So if you are desiring something and if you want a specific outcome, remember, the power is not in your hands. You do not rule over other people. You do not rule over the circumstances. Al-Malik rules over the circumstances, and as the ruler, Al-Malik is also the bestower. So inshallah, Rahim will bestow that mercy upon you to have whatever outcome you desire, and he is Ar-Rahim, so it's gonna work out, inshallah. Yeah, so just remember that Al-Malik is Ar-Rahim. He is full of vast mercy, and he wants to give us mercy. He is Ar-Rahim, the bestower of mercy. So as the king, Al-Malik, yes, I'm repeating the terms a lot because I really want us to be able to use them interchangeably with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just remember that he is all of these things, and he encompasses all of these things. So while we may desire one thing for ourselves, Al-Malik, Ar-Rahim, Ar-Rahman, he is all-encompassing, and he is perfect in all ways, and he will give us what is best for us. So as we begin our Ramadan, I want us to try and integrate these three names today in whatever speech. If you're mentioning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, try to use one of these three names. And also in your dua, when you're praying for mercy, try to use Ar-Rahman and Ar-Raheem. And also when you are saying you want something, remember that he is Al-Malik, and say that he is the king over all things. And as a king, kings rule over all things and have power to bestow things to to their servants and slaves. So inshallah, Al-Malik will give you whatever you desire, your heart's desire. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. Inshallah, you benefited and enjoyed this. And if you have any suggestions of things I should add to this video or how I should format these videos in the future, please let me know. Leave a comment down below and give this video a thumbs up and share it if you find it to be useful. And thank you guys so much again. I really truly appreciate it, and I can't wait to continue this journey, inshallah. And just look higher. And yeah, I love you guys, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum.